Welcome to Social Media Basics for Business Lesson 3, Define Your Customer. I'm Robert Killen, Director of the Lane Small Business Development Center, and it's great to see you here. In today's lesson, we're going to be talking about buyer personas. What is a buyer persona? Why is it important? Might you need more than one? And how do you create it? So it's a very simple concept, but it's also very profound and very important for a business. Social media or not, it's important for your business. So let's jump in. I want to start with a basic concept. Marketing is a game of precision, right? Marketing is a game of precision. The more you know about your perfect customer, the more effective your marketing is going to be. And we're going to talk about that here in a bit. But first, I want to answer the question, what is a buyer persona? A buyer persona is nothing more than a description, a fictitious description of your optimal client. And that description needs to be complete. You need to know their age, their income level, is it male or female? Do they have kids? What are their hobbies? What's their occupation? What do they just like to do in the afternoons? What books are they reading? What's their hair color? Ultimately, you want to know that individual. Most importantly, you want to know what challenges they're facing that you can help them overcome. But you want to be as specific as possible. You want it so that if somebody said, who's your optimal client, you'd be able to paint them a picture, right down to the hair color. Okay? That is a buyer persona. Now, why is a buyer persona important? A buyer persona is important for a number of reasons. As I already described, the better you understand them, the more likely it is you're going to be able to find them. The more likely it is you're going to be able to speak to them in a voice that they will want to hear, that they're going to understand. You're going to speak their language. And ultimately, you should be able to better fulfill their needs because you understand them better. It's all about understanding the perfect client so that you can reach them, communicate with them, and fulfill their needs. That's what a buyer persona is and why it's so important. Also, because you've gone through this process, you will be able to generate trust with them more easily because they hopefully will be able to see that you have cared enough to concern yourself with them and who they are and what they're facing. Also, by going through this process, you may find that there are changes you can make to your product, to your service, to your voice, as we discussed in the last lesson. You might be able to modify how you come into the market because you understand them so well. So don't skimp on this. Take the time to understand who your perfect client is and build your business around them, about solving their needs. Now, do you need to create more than one? You might think, well, I've got multiple product lines. And it's not so much about the product line because you might have multiple product lines that all feed the same person's needs. But on the other hand, you might have a single product line that needs multiple buyer personas because you have to go through multiple people before you can get to a decision. So you may need to speak to multiple people and their needs before the final buying decision is made. So the answer is, it depends. You may need to create more than one. You may have product lines that serve entirely different markets, and obviously you will need them there. But let's go ahead and start with one. Let's go ahead and start with the person who buys your product or service, that one individual. And then we'll move out from there. We'll grow from there. But just start with that one. Start thinking about what they look like. What do they spend their days doing? And most importantly, what are the challenges that they're struggling with that you can help them overcome? Finally, how do you make it happen? How do you create a buyer persona? Well, thankfully, in the Social Media Action Plan, your workbook, it'll actually walk you through this process where you're going to identify their physical characteristics, their demographic data, as well as other information that are important for you to understand. And you can figure out this person. If they don't come to you immediately, you can actually do research. You can go to research that's been done about your field, about your sector, and who is buying from your sector, and figure out the optimal demographics from that research. Alternatively, you can just go with your gut. Start there. You have a hypothesis that this is the type of person who needs my services. I'm going to start with them. I'm going to reach out to them, and maybe I'll have to change that over time. I'll probably be modifying it either way. But just start with your gut. If you don't have time or inclination to do the research, or you think you've got it down, just go with that. But whatever you do, don't not develop a buyer persona. If you don't develop a specific person that you're going to reach out to, your marketing is likely to be too broad. And if it's too broad, it's going to be missing everybody. It's going to be missing the people who are best suited to hear what you have to offer. So be certain to go through this process and build out a buyer persona so that you can market to the right people. All right, once you've clearly defined your customer, it's going to be easier to reach them, to gain their trust, and to serve their needs. So hopefully this has inspired you to do that. That's actually your next step, is to open up your social media action plan, fill out section 3, which is a whole section on buyer persona. Once you're done with that, we'll go to lesson 4, choose your channels, where we'll identify which social media channels are best for you and your business. I'll see you there. Cheers.